The VR46 team addressed the controversy surrounding the 2025 MotoGP paddock, the disparity in performance between the two Ducati Desmosedici variants, the GP24 and GP25. Alessio Salucci explained the technical aspects that had been puzzling people. He explained why some Ducati riders appeared dominant while others struggled with adaptation issues. Interestingly, however, despite all the debate, Uccio emphasized that the real key lies not in a motorbike but in one name, Marc Márquez. Can Marquez's talent really overcome the Desmosedici GP25's weaknesses? Let's discuss it, and don't forget to subscribe. The 2025 MotoGP season will feature a significant technical experiment from Ducati. This year, they are launching two different motorbike specifications, the GP24 and the GP25. The GP24 is an evolution of last year's championship-winning motorcycle, stable and proven tough, forming the foundation of Ducati's success in the last two seasons. Meanwhile, the GP25 features various radical changes, including a new frame, a much more aggressive engine, and an experimental aerodynamic package that has not yet been fully tested on the racetrack. These changes have triggered philosophical differences within the Ducati Lenovo garage. Their two mainstay riders, Francesco Bagnaia and Marc Márquez, have chosen different development paths. Bagnaia admitted that he was losing the feeling on the front of the GP25, particularly during braking and cornering. He began to doubt the direction of the latest motorcycle development and seemed frustrated by the lack of clarity in settings suited to his racing style. On the other hand, Marc Márquez has shown extraordinary adaptability. In a short time, he managed to tame the wild character of the GP25, turning it into a new weapon with which to continue his dominance on the grid. Not only is Marquez fast, he also consistently pushes the limits of the motorcycle, which is still in the experimental stage. The situation is made even more interesting by the fact that only one satellite team has both motorcycles in one garage, the Pertamina Enduro VR46 racing team. Fabio Di Giannantonio was assigned to ride the GP25, while Franco Morbidelli retained the GP24. Although the GP25 is said to be more technically sophisticated, Morbidelli performed more consistently throughout the first half of the season. He even beat Di Giannantonio in several races, raising the question, is the latest technology really superior? VR46 team director Alessio Uccio Salucci chose to remain neutral when asked about this. He emphasized that both bikes have great potential but noted time constraints as the main obstacle to developing the GP25. Both are great bikes, but the GP25 still needs development. Unfortunately, testing time is very limited, Uccio said realistically. Meanwhile, the scent of internal conflict is growing stronger in the Ducati factory team garage. The competition, which was previously only seen on the track, is now spreading behind the scenes in terms of technology and strategy. Marc Márquez now leads the standings with a striking advantage, 93 points above the defending champion, Francesco Bagnaia. However, this points gap reflects more than just Márquez's dominance as a rider. It also reveals a deep division in the philosophy of motorcycle development within the Red Bologna team. One of the latest hot spots emerged after the Aragon Grand Prix. Bagnaia openly supported the use of a new, lighter fairing and called it the best test of the year. He felt the bike had become more agile and suited his style. However, Márquez went in the opposite direction. We need to test further on other tracks. Don't rush. I'm still using the old fairing, Márquez said, rejecting the option preferred by his teammate without hesitation. One of the most striking points of conflict in the Ducati team arises from something that seems trivial but is very decisive: the braking system. Francesco Bagnaia chose 355mm discs because he believes they are vital for stability when braking hard. He believes the large discs provide a better sense of security. With these, I can manage better and have more confidence when entering corners, said Pecco, emphasizing his racing philosophy of relying on feeling and calm when entering corners. However, Marc Márquez does not see things the same way. The Cervera rider feels that the size of the disc does not provide significant advantages. I don't feel much difference. It's heavier and less responsive, Márquez said briefly but sharply, implying that speed comes from adaptation, not comfort. Interestingly, Márquez's opinion was echoed by Fabio Di Giannantonio, another Ducati rider. He expressed a similar preference, which made Pecco even more isolated in his choice. This small difference is not just technical. It reflects the difference between two worlds, riders who prioritize feeling and riders who pursue efficiency and response. If not managed wisely, this small gap could grow into a split. The phenomenon that occurred in the Ducati camp this season reveals an increasingly clear clash of philosophies between their two biggest stars. The Ducati riders' performance and comments show one thing clearly. Pecco Bagnaia relies heavily on feeling, while Marc Márquez is skilled at adapting. Bagnaia often complains that he has lost his feeling or sense of trust in the front of the GP25 motorcycle, especially when facing changing track conditions. In contrast, Marquez adjusts his racing style to the character of the new, more aggressive and unstable motorbike. Marquez made a sharp comment that many considered a direct dig at Bagnaia. He said, "If there are many changes but it's still uncomfortable, then the problem is not with the motorbike." This implies that sometimes, the biggest problem is not technical but rather the mentality or approach of the rider. This statement immediately sparked a debate in the paddock because it was considered an allusion to Bagnaia's attitude. He was starting to lose confidence in the Desmosedici GP25's performance. The clash of philosophies between feeling and adaptation has become the center of attention because it could determine the direction of Ducati's dominance this season. Ducati team manager Davide Tardozzi tried to quell the growing speculation, stating that the team's internal situation was under control. Pecco is not under pressure. "We fully support the process," Tardozzi emphasized in an interview. However, not everyone agreed. MotoGP observer Ricard Jove actually suggested that there were signs indicating that Bagnaia's position was becoming unstable within the team. Ducati is starting to lose respect for Pecco. "He has to accept that Marquez is dominating," Jove said bluntly. This situation was exacerbated by a crucial technical decision made in the pre-season. The GP25 engine specification being used now is better suited to Marc Márquez's aggressive riding style than to Bagnaia's smooth, precise style. It's a technical gamble that now clearly favors the newcomer over the reigning champion. The situation within the Ducati factory team is pointing to a potential conflict that is becoming increasingly worrisome. Although MotoGP regulations allow differences in setup between riders, Ducati must use the same engine base and aerodynamic package until the end of the 2026 season. In conditions like these, if internal tensions are not immediately resolved, the risk of two power factions emerging within the team becomes very real. On the one hand, there is the Marquez team, known for its pragmatism and focus on quick adaptation. So far, it has delivered real results on the track. The Bagnaia team, on the other hand, is more technical and relies heavily on intuition. However, it has recently begun to falter under pressure and in the face of the dynamics of motorcycle development. Currently, the VR46 team has openly identified Marc Márquez as the performance benchmark. "He is the strongest rider right now. We have to learn from him and try to catch up," said Alessio Salucci, also known as Uccio. This clearly reveals who they now consider to be the benchmark for Ducati's performance. Behind the scenes, the Cold War between two-time world champion Marc Márquez and rookie Francesco Bagnaia is heating up. So, where will Ducati end up amid these clashing directions? Share your thoughts below.